Jack Spengler,
All right.
professor. In fact, I'm the Akira Yamaguchi Professor of Environmental Health and Human Habitation. In fact, the only professor with human habitation in their title at Harvard University.
That's important and related to the Hoffman Program.
Very much so.
And I'm Joe Brain. I'm also in the Department of Environmental Health. I'm the Drinker Professor of Environmental Physiology. And we've known each other, been working
4
for a long time.
decades. Probably.
Right. And we've known Marilyn Hoffman for almost that
Yes.
long. It's about 2 years since Marilyn Hoffman died. And what we're really trying to do is to remember her legacy and follow her mandate. What is that to you?
Well, she's an interesting person. We've known her for many years. And like, I think, too many sort of unsung people around the world, they are afflicted by a reaction to chemicals in their environment, either their food or the air, or somewhere in the products they use. So she was very concerned about this and wanted a real strong evidence-based research program to investigate this.
And this problem affected her throughout her entire life for many decades.
I would say there's a term that sort of summarizes all of this. People have used multiple chemical sensitivities. They've used the words of lost tolerance to environmental conditions that seem to have a cascade of symptoms that go with it. And it is very poorly understood at this time. It has come into, I think, research attention with the Gulf War syndrome, where returning vets had these complexes, couldn't go back to their workplace, but yet then it's forgotten again for a long time. And I think it's very much about understanding the biological mechanisms or psychological mechanisms behind the human responses to chemicals in their environment.
To me, a distinguishing feature is a change in response to toxins over time.
Yes, very
Because
good
when you
point.
think about
Good
it,
point.
there are very few chemicals or toxins or air pollutants that we're exposed to just once for the first time.
That's right.
They're almost all chronic exposures. And so what I like about this way of looking at it is it's not a problem that is associated with a few people, like Gulf War veterans or people who complain about multiple chemical sensitivity, but it's really a basic element of biology. And so when you think about it, we're exposed to various things. What's the probability that the last response is like the first response? And the answer is, I think we all intuitively know it's zero. It just doesn't happen. And so a basic element of biology is with repeated exposures, we either adapt and become less responsive, or we become sensitized, we become more responsive.
One important thing has happened since the time when she was alive, and that's the advancements in sensors, right? Sensor technologies. Looking at brain function and exposures to chemicals. Personal monitors now. In fact, we were just experimenting today, in fact, with this brand new VOC, volatile organic compound monitor, that is smaller than this phone. You can carry it anywhere. We took it to an Arch store, and sure enough, walk in there, you smell it, and it pegs the responses. So we have tools now that we didn't even have 5 years ago.
And the same thing has happened in biology as well. So now we have much more technologies, proteomics, metabolomics. We're interested in the gut microbiome. Epigenetics is probably a good example because these are modifications not in the genetic code caused by chemical exposure and other toxins, but they're actually changes in gene expression. And so we now have some of the tools to really identify some of the mechanisms that are responsible for some of the problems associated with chronic exposures to chemicals and other toxins.
Another aspect of the Marilyn Hoffman program is the pilot projects that allow investigators to really take chances, right? Explore new territories, look at the interface between science.
Pilot projects are really important because one of our goals is to attract new young talent into this field, which we think has been neglected. Another goal is to really publicize this area. We think the public needs to know more about it. People designing houses, designing cities, people making policy relating to air pollution, indoors and out. They really need to understand the importance of this sensitization, adaptation question, and how that relates to the complex chemical environment. So we've gotten a lot done in the first year.
Yes.
But it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
it's
very much
far
so.
from finished, and there's a lot more we need to do.
Well, I don't know about you, I'm sure it's true. This is a challenging field. I mean, that's why probably there's been so little research done on this. It is a very challenging field, and I think we'll have many years of good funding to pursue this topic and make good progress along the way.
We're off to a very exciting start. I think Marilyn would be pleased with their investment.